Hey, it's Ashley. Welcome to the Abundant Soul podcast. In this week's episode, Steph and I discuss perfectionism. We get into how perfectionism shows up in our lives and the effect it can have on things like creativity, self-development, and how it can also overlap with so many other topics like comparison and validation. This topic came up for us while we were working on the podcast behind the scenes as we started to get caught up in the little details, which then can lead to jumping down a rabbit hole. Letting go of the need or the desire for things to be quote-unquote perfect is something that we both struggle with. Maybe struggle isn't the right word. Maybe I can reframe that into letting go of perfectionism is a lesson we are both learning. We almost nixed recording this episode altogether as we initially thought it wouldn't be perfect. Luckily, we decided to just go for it and be our real, raw, and authentic selves. So, here is this week's episode, just the way it is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am, as you can hear, I have a cold. And I almost considered for a second to cancel. Because, well, I think most of us wants to be perfect. And then I realized that it's not because I look like the reindeer, Rudolph, the reindeer,
Yeah.
that I can do it. And I won't look perfect. So today I really want to talk about self-acceptance.
Yes.
And not being perfect.
Yes. Yes, I love this one.
Because
Okay,
I ended up being mostly thinking, that's okay what I look. No, the most important thing is what we say and what we share.
Right.
So I want to be an example and say, I'm not perfect today. I may need a tissue at some point, and that's okay. And yes, I have a red nose.
You can't see it. I am really excited for this topic because then we get into that question of what is perfect anyway, and the whole big fat topic of perfectionism, where that comes from, why we're focused on it. For myself, sometimes I can be hyper focused on it, and how it affects us. Oof, I am excited for this topic.
That's a huge topic. And in our society, with all the social media, we only see people that seems perfect. Perfect life, perfect physique, perfect speech. Everything is perfect. When we look at our life, it's far from perfect. But like you mentioned, what is perfect anyway? Because what is perfect for me when I see this person on social media and to me she has a perfect life, and when again we come back to comparison, but when I see what he's doing is perfect, you don't know, maybe for someone else it's not perfect. And you increase your standard, and then you lose yourself in the process.
Yeah.
And what you need to bring is your own value, and own it. And own that, for example, today I don't look perfect, for sure.
Don't say that.
Even when I woke up, my son was like, "You are white. Your face is white." Like, thanks. Thank you, my son. Well, children are very good to tell the truth. You cannot hide.
But that's good. They're like your mirrors. They call you out, and it's like, how are you going to react to this? How are you going to feel about this? You know, or they don't even care. They're just like, you know, they're just real. They're just authentic. Like, little kids are so fun to be around because they're like the unfiltered version. You know, they're like, this is what I'm thinking and feeling right now. You know, which is, it's nice. It's refreshing to be around that. I mean, maybe sometimes it can be triggering, yes, but...
It can be triggering, but I think it could be used as an example for us. And I'm thinking, for example, when we edit our podcast, we will look at every detail, everything. Ooh, and suddenly, hey, this piece of my head disappeared because I have a background. Eee. When my son looks at it, he only see my face, see your face, Ashley. And he's like, oh, look, this is Ashley. Hey, hi. She can see you. And listen to our voice. That's all he see. That's all he cares. So they are true example of seeing what's important.
That's a big one too, because I feel like I'll speak for myself. So when I create something, this is hitting home right now. I'm realizing this. When I create something, now I'm reflecting back, and it's like the first thing you do is you look for what's wrong. You look for what didn't go the way that I thought in my head. What is off? What is someone going to see? Like, where am I exposed, you know, or like, where is the one piece of my hair flailing around or something like that, you know? It's like, why do I go there? Why can't I create something and be like, hell yeah, check that out. That is amazing. Done. It's like you want to dissect it and find all the parts that could be criticized. Maybe because you think that's coming. You know, if you share something you've created with someone else, their first thought will be tearing it down and criticizing, versus their first thought being, thank you so much for sharing this with me. This, what you just created, is amazing. This is perfect. This is wonderful. You know?
Exactly. And that's where I think then we get into the defense. We would share something, and we are waiting for the criticism because we are not satisfied ourselves. Because we are perfectionists. We want it to be perfect. We don't want to hear any negative feedback, which could be, in the end, a positive feedback because it will just improve your work. And you will learn, because next time you will follow this advice. Or you may say, thank you for your advice, but it's not going to work with that because it may be just a preference. Right? We had that discussion regarding this podcast on the blog post, where I prefer rounded squares, everything that is round, including cars, and you prefer what is... I prefer what is round, and you prefer what is squares.
Yes, I like the clean lines. I like the straight edges. I love the square, boxy look of things. Yes.
So we are the opposite on that. But in the end goal is to share our message. So who cares if it's rounded or squares in the end?
Yes.
But we want it to be so perfect that we had the discussion, and in the end, we mentioned it's just a preference.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. It's just a preference. And anchoring into that idea that it's your preference. Everyone's going to have their own preference. And that's okay. No one is going to judge what you create because it's not up to their preference. Or at least that's the way I think it should be. Like, they're thinking, you created this. Cool. That's how you created it. Versus, man, I can't believe she didn't use square lines and everything. You know, but it's like, how would I even know? I don't even know you. You know?
Exactly. Well, I do think that some people would, but they're not your people.
Ooh.
I don't think they would even listen to your podcast. They will judge by, the photo, the poster that you put on. And clearly, it's not for them because they would judge the design. And I think your personality will show up in what you create.
Yeah.
It has to. And that's what makes it different from others doing the same work, because you put you in there. And I think that's why sometimes we are so hard on ourselves and we want it to be perfect, because we put our soul into that.
Ooh. Yes.
And then that's what makes it harder when someone will come and say, hey, I don't like that.
Okay, this is bringing up for me teaching yoga. So I have been teaching for a while now, and I'm realizing the difference between showing up to guide my class and having an intention of, this is the way I created it, this is going to be 1 hour I'm going to guide, and then just being okay with how it goes, versus when I was a newer teacher, my first thought after class ended was, I want to ask everyone what they thought. Like, I started seeking validation. I wanted that feedback. Yes, probably for constructive to like learn and grow, but I think it was more of my ego being like, did they like it? Did I do it right? Am I good enough? Am I worthy to do this? And it's just been a really interesting journey in letting that go and just saying, I'm showing up and I am just going to have the intention in my heart to, whatever words come out of my mouth, that's what needed to be said. Whatever poses I'm doing, that's what needed to happen today. And then at the end of the class, just let people be. Let them leave. Maybe I changed someone's life and they're not going to tell me that. They're just like going to leave. Maybe some person absolutely hated my style and they didn't like the way I did things, and they're just going to leave without telling me that. So just releasing that, searching for, was I good enough? Did you like this? Because I'm going to show up the next Saturday and do the same thing regardless of what they say. I'm still going to do it. So it's been a lot of stress off myself to just say, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this. And what I do is going to be enough. And if there is feedback, great, I welcome it. Yes, I always do. But I'm not going to go searching for it.
I love that. And I want to talk about one of my friends. I had a discussion on Friday for 2 hours and a half, and I haven't talked with her forever. And she's in Quebec. I admire her very much. And she did a PhD in biology, and now she is doing her residency as a doctor. So she decided to switch career after her PhD. She did the doctor's study. Now she's a first year of residency, and I always admire her. I feel she has so much confidence and she's a go-getter. She's such an amazing woman. She's caring. Really, I admire her. I love her. She's a really, really, really good friend. And we had this conversation, and at some point, she mentioned that to me, and she said, I stopped caring about what people think, period. Yes, she would listen to the advice, but regarding about her decisions, about her own life, she made the decision to stop caring about what people think and say, because it's her life. And she said, no one knows what I've been through, what I will go through, where I'm at. We are not in the same shoes. They cannot know. And I know we touched base on that in other episode as well, that it's our own journey. So she said it took her 8 years to work through that journey of stop caring about what people say about her. And now she really embodies it. And now she saves lives. I mean, when she's right now she's in cardiology during her residency. And when she talks about it, first of all, she's so passionate. Like, I can listen to her all day. And second of all, I'm like, wow, that's so difficult what you go through. And And she's like, I come here, I do my job, I do my best. That's all I care about. And some days I will show up, like they do huge shifts, 15-hour shifts. I'm like, how can you do that for 15 hours? And she's at the end of a shift, like my hair is all over, and and I meet with family, and it is like this. Like, I don't care what I look. All I care is that I'm doing a great job. I'm saving lives, doing my best. I'm empathetic to the family. I tell them the truth. And that's all I care. And I'm like, oh, I have to learn that. So, one of my goals.
That's a great goal. It's like that. I know we always talk about authenticity, and it's so important because it feels like in sharing your friend's journey and her story, all it really matters, okay, I don't mean it that way, but it matters a whole heck of a lot is how you feel about it. And it seems like we don't prioritize that. Or at least I don't think I started thinking about, how do I view myself? Am I proud of myself? Do I trust myself? Do I love myself? Do I think I'm worthy? That question didn't come up to me until I was probably like 38. It was always seeking other people or finding my worth through the relationships that I have with other people. And that's the wildest thing. It's like, how did I get so far from that to where the person who should matter the most is me, and I'm with myself all the time? How did it never cross my mind? Like, wait a second. And there's such a gift and a freedom. Simple things like rolling out of bed and going out to a Target run or something. And you're like, I really don't care. I don't care if I run into anyone and whoever. Like, this is me today. And then you realize, like, it's totally fine. It's like these weird, silly, superficial things that you have in your head. And it's like when you just go and you just do it and you are just your authentic self, life still goes on. The sun still rises and sets. Everything is the same. And you've created this world where you're like, I'm going to be judged or something's going to go wrong if I'm not this way or that way. But when you're your authentic self and you are true to yourself, there is some sort of frequency, vibration you put out to where it's just like, there's so much power in it.
Yes. And even if you are being judged, who cares?
Yes.
If you don't care, it's not gonna touch you. It's not gonna have any impact on your day. And okay, I want to share a story. So I'm French, and I used to live close to Paris. And in there, sorry guys, but there is a lot of judgment. Or at least that's how I lived it when I was living there. Judgment everywhere. You had to dress, nicely. And if you had, I remember when I was in it's called collège in French, but it's not. It's before high school, middle school. I think it's called middle school here. So when I was in middle school, I love bright colors. I've always had. And that was not the majority of the school. And one day I bought these orange pants. I love them in Germany because Germany were in advance on the fashion. So, and my family lives close to Germany too. So I bought these orange pants. I love them. When I came in school one day, I got laughed at, like so bad. And a few months later, everyone had bright pants. Yellow, like green, orange, name it. Like it was the fashion and woohoo. So I grew up also as judging people. That's how, that's how our culture was. That's what it was at school, everywhere. You would not see someone going outside at the grocery stores in pajamas. That is not, I cannot talk to today though, that was there like 20 years ago, but I do believe that this has not changed. So you would never ever see someone wearing pajama at the stores, at least back in the day. So when I arrived to Winnipeg, Canada, so 19, I moved to Winnipeg, and in school, I saw this guy, which was in my class, in the amphitheater, like the big class where everybody can come. And he was wearing a mohawk with these like huge military pants and like the chains coming out. And I was with friends, which were French, and we started to judge. And we judged. We were mean. But then I think 1 week later, like I started to talk with that guy. He was so nice. And I realized that, first of all, you cannot judge from the way he looks, who he is. Second, I was amazed on how everyone here didn't care how they dressed. And to piggyback on that, that's why I decided to go to Canada. When I was 16, I went there on vacation. My English was very bad. That's why my mom decided to ship me for a vacation there, because I had a grand aunt living there. So I stayed there for 7 weeks, and I could hardly speak English. When I came back home, I was more fluent. And no one judged me. Everyone wanted to help me.
Aww.
And I was like, that's why I fell in love with Canada.
Aww.
There was no judgment. It's a judgment-free zone. So when I went to Winnipeg, like I was my French self, right? Like I had my culture, it's ingrained. But then I realized that no one judged here. You could come dressed as you want. And to be honest, in Winnipeg, during the winter, you don't care the way you look. You dress as much as you want, like as with as many layers, because it's so cold there, like really cold. And while summer, you tend to dress prettier because it's summer and it's fun. So that was my first hint, right? That you do you. And you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I still don't go to the grocery stores in pajama, no? Still can't do that. I have my limit.
I love that though. And also too, like what you said about like bundling up and everything. It's like, it's for functionality. I mean, I respect fashion. I get it. Like it's a really creative and cool way to express yourself and your personality. But sometimes I am the girl who has always worn overalls. Like I'm 40 now, but overalls have always been a staple in my closet, and bell bottoms, no matter what. And some people are like, oh, they're coming back in fashion, or I'll read something that or my friends will be like, oh, we can't wear our skinny jeans anymore. I'm like, those things are in my closet, and if I feel like I need to wear those, I'm gonna wear those. Like they are literally just clothing. I don't care. You know, so it's just funny sometimes because I'm like, it's keeping my legs warm. I really don't care. Sometimes I do care, I guess, but it's more like, it makes me feel good. I like the way the clothes that I'm wearing make me feel versus what is someone else feeling about it, you know?
I'm the same way on that.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So for clothes, I learned that I'm dressing the way I want to, and as long as it's respectful.
Right. Yes.
And I'm very traditional in clothing, so. But I love the people that are embracing their own fashions, which I would never be able to wear, but it fits on them so well, and they're embracing and they are not scared. Even yesterday, I love changing hair colors and style. I'm looking forward and style. Like I had all kind of hair, like short hair, long hair. And yesterday I saw a woman with bright blue hair. I mean, you gotta love that. It was beautiful on her. I told her, by the way, because it was beautiful. I would love to have blue hair, but with my hair you can't. Like, you need to have really dark hair. But you gotta, have the guts to do that and embrace it, because it reflects your personality.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's interesting that just came up for me too is I'm noticing in the past couple years how I'm swinging the opposite way versus wanting to express myself that way. I'm getting back to who I am. Not to say that anyone who dyes their hair or something, they're not who they are. But like, what I mean by that is I haven't dyed my hair in, gosh, almost 2 years now. And I am loving this like natural hair color. I'm like, I don't even know what color this is anymore, but it's mine. And I'm noticing like wearing less makeup, and I don't like get my nails done like I used to. And again, there's no judgment or right or wrong. It's just something I'm noticing with myself. It's just, and I'm turning more and more into like a minimalist too, where I don't want, crave, or need a lot of things, like material things. Again, I have this small apartment since my divorce a couple years ago, and I'm learning to, I went from a house to a 1-bedroom apartment, and I still have these little purges where I'm like, I don't need that, or like, maybe I do have too many clothes. Maybe I can keep getting rid of stuff. And I'm like, wow, this feels kind of light. Like if I just needed to pack up in an hour, I think I might be able to do it. So it's just interesting to see how I've evolved, over time. And it just, this whole like less is more. And again, just, I don't know, going not backwards, but just
Yourself?
Yeah.
Coming back to yourself.
Yes.
And it's funny you say that, because I've been contemplating in the idea of stop dyeing my hair, and I've been dyeing them since I'm 16.
Right?
So
Same.
when I'm 40. The only thing that I'm still not embracing, to be honest, is my gray hair. So every time I'm like, I'm going to stop dyeing my hair. And then I see the grays. And they're like, hello! and I mean, they're beautiful gray. It's not like white. It's beautiful gray, shiny, but I'm still like not embracing that. So I'm not there yet. I have lessened my bright colors in my hair, turning more about, this one was a quote-unquote mistake. I'm like, I'm going to go back on the red. No, I love
like
it. Yeah, but I like it. It's the only thing is that you need to dye your hair frequently, because you see the roots coming back. And I don't want to dye them frequently because it's still like, chemicals. And that too. I'm very more conscious on what I put on my body.
Yeah.
Hardly wear makeup. Hardly. Yeah. And that it's been my entire life, where everyone, like, you can get shocked sometimes to see, a beautiful woman and she removes the makeup, and you can be in shock.
It's like a different person.
It's a different person. Looks like a ghost.
Yeah.
And it's like, embrace you are beautiful just as you are. Yeah. And coming back to being to perfect, to thinking that you are going to be perfect in putting all these makeups on. No, you're just hiding. That's my opinion on that. Is like, you just want to hide like all, the little wrinkles that you have, the zits, the redness that you have on the skin. And yes, sometimes, yes. And if you have a show, or, if you are doing theater or you are an actor, yes, you need the makeup for the reason that with the lighting, like the people in the audience needs to see you and needs to see your face. So you have to exaggerate with makeup. But on a day-to-day life, no, protect your face with an ice cream. It seems like I said ice cream.
Put ice cream all over your face.
Like, that would be my son's dream. Like, ooh. With a nice cream. that is, hydrating, like take care of your skin, but don't try to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Or, a very natural makeup. Like I still, sometimes wear makeup, but it's just like underline and the mascara. I don't know how we say it.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, I learn to embrace having lipstick sometimes, but it's not every day at all.
Mm-hmm. I struggled with that because as a teen, I had pretty bad acne. I was on Accutane, and I had so much scarring left from it. And shout out to my esthetician. She has helped me with my skincare stuff, so it's more manageable. But I had such a fear of being seen without makeup on, like, covering up all the redness, all the scarring, all the outbreaks. And I recently took a trip with my boyfriend where we were together for like 9 or 10 days, and I didn't take any makeup with me. And I was like, oh man, he's going to see me. He's going to see all my scars and everything. And again, like that was me trying to be perfect, not being myself. And again, thinking that's the first thing he's going to notice is, oh my gosh, like her face, look at all the blemishes and the redness and the scarring. And it was like quite the opposite. And then like after the first, I don't even know, couple hours or something, I never thought about it the entire trip. And it felt so good to not do my hair and makeup, just shower and go. And I was like, this feels so primal and fun. Like you're not worrying about anything. And it's like, again, here's this person I really care about and care about what they think because I want them to like me. And he's like, this has nothing to do with the way that your face looks. Like you shine from the inside out. And I'm like, why can't I think that way? So it's again, I'm 40 now, and it's just still those things come up, and it's been like that since I was 12 or 13. And it still comes back around. And there's days where I'm like, yeah, I'm rolling no makeup. Like, who cares? Like, this is me. Take it or leave it. But then I still have those times where I'm like, oh my gosh, is everyone going to be looking at my outbreaks? Is everyone going to see I have this huge zit on my forehead? And it's like, no one, literally nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
The only one who pointed out is kids.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Because they are honest, but
Yes.
it's not even with judgment.
It's probably just curiosity.
Curiosity, or it's funny. Yeah, maybe it's funny. And just laugh of it because it's temporary, or even if it's not temporary, right? Embrace it.
Yeah.
But we want to be perfect. We want to be slim. We want to be, just fit the mold. We want this podcast to be perfect, the edits flow like we are video editor and producers, but we are not.
Yes.
I will be honest, we are not. None of us are.
Right.
So we do our best and we learn along the way. And, that made me think when, I edit and I send it to Ashley so you can review and, you give comments back. And do you want to share what you
Oh yeah, what I recently yes. So Steph and I will send each other little voice memos too, and so I remember she had sent me something to review, and I had my thoughts and ideas on it, and I was so terrified to share with her. And again, we're friends, like we create this safe space for us to share about our journeys and healings and growth. And that's the whole point of us doing this podcast, is creating that safe space. But here I was terrified to give feedback, that I was like, well, what if we change this, or what about this little thing? And I went to, what do you call that? Intrusive thoughts or worst case scenario. I'm like, if you send this to her, Steph is going to be like, you know what? I think I'm better off without you. Goodbye. We are not doing a podcast anymore. What you're saying doesn't make sense. I'm done. Goodbye. That's where my mind went. Again, why couldn't it go to oh, Steph's going to say, thank you so much for this feedback. Let's consider it. Let's hop on a call and talk about this together.
Your
It's,
vision was so true that here you are.
yeah,
Here you are recording.
I know. And it's so interesting how our first instinct, or at least for me, a lot of times you go to the worst case scenario. And one thing I've been trying to ground myself in throughout this healing journey I've started and been on is, if I'm going to dedicate energy to the worst case scenario, then I equally need to give energy to the best case scenario. So at least the poor best case scenario has a shot, like I've thought about it, because sometimes you can get so clouded and hyper fixated on the worst case scenario that you don't stop to think about the best case. And again, it's only going to be fair to yourself if you dedicate the same amount of energy. And then once you do that, I feel like then you can choose where you want to give more energy. And if you give more energy to that best case scenario, then I think you have a better shot at that outcome and kind of self-regulating yourself and noticing these are different scenarios that can happen. There's good and there's bad, and then there's the middle. So again, yes, coming back to that. So I was very scared to tell Steph my thoughts and feelings. And then again, we're so open with each other that I think I shared that too in a voice memo where I was like, I was really scared to send this to you. And thank you for saying this back because this is helping me.
No, and I mean, I could have reacted a bad way, right? Like I could have been like, oh, that's it. Don't give me those comments. Like I do the work but I could have. That could have been a possibility. And the ego could be very strong there. But at the same time, I believe, and again, maybe it's just a belief, that if you had something to say on something, you won't be the only one. Right? And it's just to improve things.
Yeah.
So again, I want it to be as perfect as it can. But we cannot obsess on being perfect. So we do our best, and we still have to receive criticism or feedbacks, right? It's positive criticism to make it better. So yes, when I received your texts, I was like, okay, let me see what she means. And then I was like, okay, then it doesn't bother me, but it bothers you. So let's find a middle ground, because there are some things that may work or that I can improve, and there are some areas that I won't be able to make it better. And that's the area that we won't be able to make it better, that we have to embrace and say, okay, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. What we call it's GAPO, good enough, push on. And that's where we have to close our eyes and move it, push on, move it forward, and stop being stuck on, but it's, there's still this little area that is not working.
Yes.
But it's so much better because you gave feedback that allowed improvement.
Yes.
And that's where I find it's difficult to find the middle ground, because you have the ego could have been triggered. Again, like I could have said, no, I've done the work and, don't give feedbacks. I'm just going to schedule it as is. And I could have done that, or anyone could do that, but it's not going to serve anyone.
Yeah. One thing too that I think goes in hand with that, and is it GAPO you said? GAPO? Good enough, push on. I love that because I sometimes struggle with the analysis paralysis. Where
Guilty.
Gosh, it is so easy to get stuck in that muck. You're just stuck there like, what if this? What if this? How should I do this? Is this perfect? And it's like you waste so much time that the person who just put something out there, tried it, and then course corrected or, re-steered the ship as they're going. They're out there. They're doing it, and you're still on the shore like, should I? Is the boat ready? Should I get in the boat now? Is the weather okay? It's like, just put something out there. Just go. And you can figure it out. And a lot of times I feel like we hold ourselves back, again, for that perfectionism and wanting it to be quote unquote perfect when it's probably already perfect in so many people's eyes. And it's like just having the intention with what you're doing, I think is something I want to be better at focusing on. Just kind of, again, like what I said about like when I teach yoga, what's my intention? Am I going into it with like the correct intention? It's not that I want everyone to love my playlist and my flow and think I'm amazing. It's like I want to share something from my heart that makes others feel good about themselves. And I don't need to know if it made them feel good about themselves or not, because that's not the intention. I don't need that feedback back. I'm just putting it out there. So again, I think if we can anchor into the intention and just release that need for perfectionism, easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why this morning I decided to show up, because I'm still able to talk. And I mentioned to you, Ashley, that if we see in the middle, but I can't because I need to cough and and it's not possible, we will stop and re-record. But I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to be truly myself. And that's okay.
Yes.
And because I'm my first biggest critic that you can ever have.
Yeah.
And when I look at you, Ashley, you see you are perfect. And me, I'm like, oh my God, look at this and look at that. And to me, that's one step further on fully embracing who I am, and that we are the best version of ourselves every day, just look different.
That's a good one. That's a good quote. And shout out to you for showing up today, because this was amazing. And I'm glad that we got to record this episode. It was super impactful. And I think it's a really good message on just living life. Just doing the things that you care about, that you love, that you're passionate about. Whether, if you were really sick, like in bed, I wouldn't be like, okay, let's do it,
No,
but
I
if
wouldn't.
you're, exactly.
And if we were to meet in person, I would have said I can't, because clearly I would have given you this gift of cold.
Hey, but maybe it's a gift of slowing down and rest, Sometimes I'd like to view it that way. So again, thank you for this today, because this was a real, authentic, honest conversation. And again, those are the most fun to have. And I love that you hold space, and we create this open communication about all the crazy things about life.
I love that too. Thank you so much. And wow, so excited for next week's episode.
Yes. All right. Well, we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. We hope the stories and insights we've shared today have inspired you to embrace your abundant soul and live your life with more presence, purpose, and passion.
Remember, the path to awakening is unique for each of us, but we're all connected by our yearning for deeper meaning and authenticity. So keep an open heart and mind, and trust that the universe will guide you exactly where you need to go.
This has been the Abundant Soul Podcast. See you next Sunday as we continue to explore the depths of spiritual awakening and personal growth.